All right. Yeah, all who is attending for the lesson, just to take note that we are going through there's this revision paper that I just gave out for today, things to study for N-level math paper 1, right? So I'll be doing recording for our screen in case some of the students who are not able to attend, they can still watch the video later. Just to check, are you able to hear me and are you able to see the screen clearly? Can? You can, you'll give me a thumbs up? Okay, can. All right, then without further ado, I should begin. So some of the questions here, I will not be able to explain every single question because some of them are very basic, so you must know how to do. Right, so for example, question 1, the question here says that you are rounding, supposed to round off each value to one significant figure. Each value to one significant figure. So first you need to round off all the different numbers first. Rounding off the number, then do the calculation. Okay. Now move on to the next question. Show that the point lies on this line. Now what do we do? When I want to show something, right, I just need to sub in one of the value into my equation and then get the other value. So in this case, I know that x is equals to -1. So I'll plug x equals to -1 into my equation over here. Then you'll realize that after I solve the equation, I get that y is equals to 0.5. Okay, then therefore this is shown already. Okay, something to take note. I will be giving out the full written solution for this paper, so you do not need to be copying down here. You can check the answers later, but you must understand the concept and the presentation and the way the working is supposed to be written. Okay, so please take note of the next few coordinate geometry question. Right, when the question says show that this point lies on something, I cannot plug both the values into the equation straight away. I will plug one and find the other value and make sure it's equals to the number that is being given. Okay. Secondly, this concept is on finding the coordinates of the y-intercept. What is the meaning of y-intercept? Right, when y-intercept cuts the y-axis, what happens to the x value? The x value is equals to 0. So when we know that the equation cuts the y-axis, so the x value equals to 0. So what do? We substitute this inside our equation. X is now 0, so 3 times x will give you 0. Then you solve for the value of y. This is one method. Alternatively, there can be another different method where you use the equation y equals to mx plus c. Now, a general equation for a straight line is y equals to mx plus c. And we know that c is the y-intercept. Okay, y-intercept. But now this equation is 2y equals to 3x plus 4. This is not y on its own. So what do I need to do? I need to divide throughout by the number 2. I shall divide individually so that I can get both the gradient and the y-intercept. So with here, you can see that our y-intercept is the number 2, which is what we have found correctly. Okay, but they want coordinates. So they want the x and the y value together at the same time. So if they want the x and the y value at the same time, the x we know when it cut y-axis, the x value is equals to 0. Okay. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, can. Next question. Now, the next few questions are some of the new trend questions that you notice they try to ask you to form equation to solve using either the gradient or the length between 2 points. So for example, question 6 here, A is this point and B is this point. You notice there are 2 unknowns in this case, right? And they mention that both M and N are positive integer that must be less than 10. The information that they give you is gradient is equals to this number. So what can I do? Since I do not know how to solve the question or whichever, let me just find the gradient first. So using the expression, now for me, you can of course do 2 minus n, 4 minus n. But usually that will end up with some negative numbers or whichever not. So there are different possible answers. Okay, not saying that totally cannot be used. You can try. Okay, but for me, I prefer to have n to be positive number because they want n positive, right? So I'll try to put n minus 4 as my y2 minus y1. Then n minus 2 as my x2 minus x1. And I equate it to my gradient. Okay, so from here you can obviously see n minus 4 is equals to 2. Let me guess a number. They're just asking you what is one possible value. So I'm going to guess a number by working backwards. So in this case, n minus 4 is equals to what number minus 4 is equals to 2? So n will be equals to 6. All right. Next one, n minus 2 is equals to 3, the denominator over here. Okay, then n equals to 5. Okay, a word of caution, if you have an algebraic equation where the two numbers a minus 4 over a minus 2 is equals to 2 over 3, where both of them are letters a, please do not take numerator equals to numerator, denominator equals to denominator, then you solve simultaneous equation. That is not correct. The only way to do this kind of question where both the letters are the same, you have to cross multiply. Okay, this one is where the letters are the same, but this one is where the two letters are different. Okay, so they ask you to guess the possible answer. That's why you can do numerator with numerator, denominator, I compare denominator. But if I have an algebraic question where this is a, both of them a, cannot equate numerator and numerator. You have to do by cross multiplication, then you solve the quadratic equation. Okay, so please take note, Next one, now this one I mentioned, the other new trend question, other than using gradient, the other one that they do is to use the length between 2 points. Now, do you remember what is the formula for distance between 2 points? Square root something square plus something square. This looks like the Pythagoras theorem. Inside will be y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. Okay, so we know that this is the formula for the distance between 2 points. Distance between 2 points. This one you must memorize, okay, the formula, right? Then I equate it to the number square root 20. How do we get rid of the square root? Both sides of them have square root, so we just happily get rid of square root. If there is only one side of the square root, what you can do, you can square both sides. You can square, get rid of the square root, square the number. Okay. So in this case, we will have here the number 20, and then you simplify this. This is 3 minus -1 will be 4. 4 square will be number 16. Now, some students will rush to do expansion. Now, notice this is something like a completing square form, completed square. There's something square. Okay, try not to do expansion and make yourself very complicated. Okay, what we can do, we can group the numbers together. So this is 16. I can shift it over here. Then I get 20 minus 16, which is left with 4. Then the whole thing, this is square, right? What can we do to get rid of square? What can we do to get rid of square? Oh, never mind. I'll continue talking. Okay, so we can take the square root. Okay, so when we take a square root, remember there are two solutions, 2 or -2. Then after that, you find the value of k. Okay, give me a minute. Someone asking for my form task data. Okay, next question. So these two types are the trend. Okay, one is on gradient, coordinate geometry involving gradient, but with algebra. The other one is the type involving length, distance between 2 points. So make sure you memorize these two formulas. Okay. Next question, some things to take note of. Now, this one is purely actually a algebra question, but they phrase it in terms for you to understand it to write your own expression. Okay, so in this case, the question already say point B has the same y coordinate. It has the same y coordinate. So this y coordinate and this y coordinate are the same. So I just bring down the y coordinate. Then the x coordinate is 3 less. 3 less. That means 1 minus 3. Then I get my answer over here. Okay. Another equation, this line here has this equation, and it write down the coordinates of the point where the line crosses the y-axis. You notice this one is repeated again. Just now, previously, there was another year question that also asked you about y-axis, right? So this is very common. But do you know, if I cut the x-axis, then y will be equals to 0. So don't only just know one version, must know the other version. If it cuts x-axis, then what happened? Y is equals to 0. So maybe these few years, they all test the y-intercept. Maybe next year or this year, they might test you x-intercept instead. So be aware. Okay, so this one, they say coordinate where it crosses the y-axis. When it crosses the y-axis, what happens? X will be equals to 0. Okay, 0, x equals to 0, so y equals to number 7. Okay, then write down the gradient of the line. Now we compare this with the general equation. Y equals to mx plus c. So a general equation of straight line, y equals to mx plus c. We have rearranged this, y equals to m. So we notice that m is the number in front of the x. So the gradient will be negative 3/2. Notice I did not put any x down here. There is no x. I just want the number, the coefficient, the number in front of the x. So it should be just negative 3/2. Students who write negative 3/2x will be given wrong. Okay, so please take note, only just the numerical value, the gradient. Right, obviously, we also know at the same time, this one is your y-intercept. If the question is not asking for the coordinates, they only ask you for the y-intercept value, then the answer is just number 7. If they ask for coordinates, then it's 0,7 with the brackets. Okay, different. The value of the y-intercept is just the number 7. But if they ask you for coordinates, then it's the number 0,7. Clear? Next question. The point C lies on the line L. That means it must satisfy this equation line L over here. So I have to use this equation. But what information did they give me? They give me that the y coordinate is twice the x coordinate. Alamak, so confusing. So since this case, I do not know whether is it the x or the y, I just generally create another letter. I call it A, for example. So y coordinate is 2 times. So the y coordinate is 2 times of the x coordinate. I let the x coordinate be A, then the y coordinate will be 2 times of it. So it will be 2A. Since they say it lies on the line, I will sub the point. Okay, sub the point A and 2A into my equation. So the y value now becomes 2A. The x value now becomes A. Right? The moment you have this, these are just algebra. So you multiply these together, let it be negative 1.5 if you want to. Okay, no problem. Then when you shift it over, remember to change sign. Okay, for algebra, try not to put mixed number. Okay, always improper fraction. Sometimes if the decimal is accurate, you can put the decimal. So in this case, this one simplify and add up to 7/2A. How do you get rid of the 7/2? We divide by 7/2. Using your calculator, you can get the answer. A equals to 2. But remember, they want the coordinates of C. So the coordinates, the A is the X value, the y value is 2 times, twice the x coordinate. So that will be the number 4. Okay, so far until here, is there anyone with particular questions? Okay, then give me a thumbs up. Then I'm going to continue with the next part, a little bit more on graphs. Can, huh? Okay, good. Next question. Now, the next few part, you see me keep repeating the same few things. Okay. For general quadratic graph meaning involving x square type, we always have 3 things. I love money, I, L, and M. I for intercepts, got x-intercept and y-intercept. L for line of symmetry. Okay, M for maximum or minimal point. Okay, these are the few general steps to help you to answer majority of the questions involving graph. Okay, except sometimes when it comes out with completed square form, but the working still can work, just that it's a little bit longer. You do using your calculator. So let's take a look at this question itself. This is a little bit different from the normal one because they did not factorize it for you. Okay, then they ask you, does this graph have a maximum or minimum point? How do I know? I look at the coefficient for my x squared. I look at the coefficient for my x squared. Is my x squared a positive or negative number? In this case, it's minus x squared, meaning it's negative. For me, I tell my class, negative means sad face. Sad face will have maximum or minimum point. So sad face go up, then come down, right? So it's a maximum point. Okay, then they ask you to find the coordinates of the maximum point. To do a slightly longer, okay, although for me, myself, I can read the answer directly, but for y'all, you're not very sure, you do the steps. X intercept, I, L, and M. X intercepts. Okay, so X intercept happens, cut x-axis, the y is 0. So I equate the equation, the value for y to become 0. So 0 is 9 minus x squared. I simply shift the x squared to make it positive, okay? Then x squared is equals to 9. So x is equals to 3 or negative 3. Remember, in general, quadratic equation can have 2 answers, unless the question is something that look like that. I sidetrack a little bit. Whole thing square, just like that. If the question is only just like that, right? It means this is repeated 2 times. That means this graph will only have one x-intercept, and both the x-intercept are the same number, for example. But haven't come up before. Don't know whether you appear or not. Okay, anyway, so the moment I got my 2 x-intercepts already, so I draw this graph over here. One number is negative 3, the other one is 3. How do I find my line of symmetry? Line of symmetry is the number in between these 2 points, correct? So I take 3 and negative 3, the 2 number, add together, divide by 2. So 3 plus negative 3 gives you 0. So in this case, what do you get? You get x is equal to 0. Now, word of caution, line of symmetry is a vertical straight line. Vertical straight line. So it's a vertical straight line. It cuts the x-axis. So it cuts the x-axis. Of course, the equation must be x equals to something. So remember to put x equals to 0. Okay. So we know that x equals 0. That means if I want to find the coordinate of the maximum point, this x coordinate is 0. This x coordinate is 0. Then how do I find my y? Well, we know x is equal to 0 already, right? So we plug it into our equation. X is now equal to 0. So y equals to 9 minus 0 squared, which is still the number 9. Okay, so these are the general steps. I, L, and M. Intercepts, line of symmetry, maximum or minimum point. These 3 things can solve from general at least 90% of the quadratic graph question. okay, in general. For students who are interested to study about completed square form and sketching a graph in completed square form, I have one revision worksheet before and one revision video on quadratic graph. Later, I sent you on the class chat again. You all can go and read through again. If not, then dig out the worksheet that I given you all before. Okay, next question related to quadratic, but not the graph itself. This is so standard. Like I say, the 4 points, 4 marks, you must know how to do completed square form. Okay, why did I choose this question again? Just to highlight. You notice the question over here is minus 4x, but here is plus. Then sometimes students get confused. Okay, don't think too much. This portion over here is just telling you that you need to do completed square. Okay, completing square form. So what is the sign that I need to follow? You follow the one that is given here, the original part of the question, x squared minus 4x. So you follow this sign, should be following the question. Okay, students from my class and students from Mr. Low class do the question very differently. So you use your own method, that doesn't matter. Just make sure you remember this is always minus the number over here squared. So 4 becomes 2, I divide by 2. So 4 becomes 2. So I minus away 2 squared. Then I subtract my original number, which is 6. Then I get negative 10. Okay, this one I can't teach you. Everyone must know how to do. Okay, then next one, please compare the answers. You should be able to find the answers easily. Okay, just a word of caution, sidetrack a little bit. What about other kinds of question? Let's say my question is x plus 4 whole thing square plus, no, don't want plus, minus minus 7, okay, for example. Then they give you the equation is x minus a square minus b. They ask you of this form. Then they ask you, what is a, what is b? Are you able to tell me what is a? You're able to tell me what is a? Or maybe what is b first? B will be what number? B, is it negative 7 or 7? B is just a number 7. But what is A? 4 is negative A. So A is actually negative 4. Okay, so sometimes the question may be very tricky or sly. The teacher purposely give it this way, and then they try to trick you to make you write the sign into the negative sign instead, but actually supposed to be positive. And then they try to trick you into writing positive 4 instead of negative 4. So open your eyes, big, don't fall into the trap. All right. Okay, so just a word of caution. Next part, the question says hence. This one I said many times. Hence, so you definitely must use your answer over here. Bring it down. Okay, but first things first, compare. Is x squared minus 4x minus 6 here exactly the same? If it's exactly the same, you use it. Sometimes maybe not the same. Then I probably need to do something to change it. Okay, so if let's say, for example, I give you an example where it's not the same example, okay? So let's say I give you x squared minus 4x minus 7 equals to 0, for example. But my original question is x squared minus 4x minus 6. This is my original question. But the question now, they say hence solve, they ask me solve this. Then what am I going to do? I noticed that this portion and this number is different, right? I need to change the negative 7 into negative 6. What can I do? I cannot multiply things. I can only add or subtract number. So in this case, negative 7, if I do a plus 1, and I do a plus 1, whatever I do to the left-hand side, I must also do it to the right-hand side. So when I do a plus 1, you notice it changed into x squared minus 4x minus 6. This one here become the number 1. Then this portion is exactly the same, right? I can use my whatever completed square form that I found as my answer from the previous part. Then I do the work. Okay? right? So this part, please take note. I explained it in my 2021 video as well. Okay. Next one, another type of example other than this. For example, they give me x squared minus 4x minus 6 equals to 5 instead. Well, this portion is exactly the same. I can use my computed square form exactly the same, but now this is not equals to 0 because you've got 5. Okay, so remember to copy down the number 5. Don't just assume it's always equals to 0. Okay, so this one is just some other tricky questions that may or may not appear. I do not know. All right, so just highlight to you for those who attended, just in case. Okay, so to solve this, I think by now most of you already should know the basic. You shift over the -10, then you take square root. Remember to take square root, got 2 answers. Then if the question never state the accuracy for degree, 3 SF. 368. If the question did say 2 dp, okay, follow the question. They say 2 dp, follow the question 2 dp. Until this part for computing square, is everyone okay? Can? No response. Okay, one person with the thumbs up. Okay, the rest I do not know. Next one, again, find the equation of the line of symmetry. You notice this one, they did not tell you it's x squared directly, but they tell you it's x times something. Okay, x times x. This means I still use my 3 thing, I, L, M. I for intercepts can find the x or the y intercept. In this case, I will find the x intercept. So when it's cut the x-axis, y value is equals to 0. Equate it to my question. Directly, you can solve first bracket equals to 0. So x is equals to -2. Second bracket is equals to 0. So x is equals to 8. Okay. What is this usefulness of this one? The moment I know this, okay, I need to check x times x is positive x squared, right? So it's a smiley face. The moment I know this, my x-axis over here, this number is -2, this number is 8. Next, they ask me to find the line of symmetry. X is equals to, what do? I take this number plus this number, add them together, divide by 2. I get the number 3. But remember, number 3 is not an equation. If I want the equation for a line of symmetry is a vertical line. It cuts the x-axis. So you must make sure you have x equals to something. So at the number x is equals to 3, they want you to write down the equation for the line of symmetry. Must have letter x. Okay. Next, then part B, they ask you find the coordinates of the maximum or minimum point. That means I want to find this point over here. Hey, I know x is equals to 3. Oh, wrong color. I already know x is equals to 3. So how do I find the value for the y value? So x now change to the number 3, x now change to the number 3, plug it inside my equation. I get my answer y equals to -25. So then here I know this is my y-intercept. With this information, is sufficient for me to at least minimally sketch the graph of this equation already. Hopefully, I have not seen sketching of the graph for quite some time. Pray it doesn't come out for sketching a graph. Just know how to solve the I, L, and the M. Okay, so for this portion, hopefully not very difficult. Ken? Yeah, then I'll move on to the next one already. Okay, for this one, just to highlight, this one is in 2021 paper, a recent paper. Okay, this sketch, they already draw it for you, but they say shows the y-intercept, the value k over here. This k is equals to the y-intercept. Why is it? How do I know that? Because when x is equals to 0, I get y equals to k. So when x equals 0, means it's the y-intercept, right? So this k itself, you notice, my y-intercept is down here at the bottom. So it's a negative number. What does this mean? This means you give me any negative number, also can pass. Okay, so it doesn't need to be integer, can be decimal, can be fraction, whichever, as long as you give me a negative number. So they are only testing you for the concept, no fixed answer. Next part, this one again, line of symmetry. They only want to test your concept. Do you know that you take the two numbers, add together, divide by 2, and they also want to test you, do you write x equals to something? So this one is under the I, L, and the L. Okay, so just take the two numbers, add together, divide 2. Make sure you write x equals to something. Can this part gone? Next question. Okay, now I'm going to start a little bit on trigonometry. Okay, y'all okay with it? Trigonometry and algebra. So, okay with graphs so far? Then I continue already. Okay, next part of the question. Now, this is not inclusive of all the different types of questions. There are other questions that has a right angle triangle with measurements. Okay, then they ask you to write. Okay, but that haven't been coming out for quite a few years already. But this one is a more common question, right? Find the value of x. So most of you already know I take sine inverse. Okay, but the question says x is at obtuse angle. We need to remember when you have sine of acute angle, the value is a positive number. When you have sine of an obtuse angle, the value is also a positive number. So this case, right, this angle, they want it to be the obtuse angle. So what is the relationship between the acute and the obtuse angle? So the acute is here, the obtuse one is the one beside it. So obviously, we just take 180 minus away. Next concept, cosine of the obtuse angle is negative. So cosine of the obtuse angle is negative, but cosine of the acute angle will be positive. So how do you find this acute angle? Again, they lie on one straight line. If I know this is 127, then I find this angle over here, 180 minus the 127 to get the acute angle. Is this okay? Then I continue with it. This one, okay, algebra, common traps, highlight and highlight again, many times. First thing, when they ask you to add a single fraction, observe the denominator. Is there anything that I can factorize? Okay, observe the denominator. Is there anything that I can factorize? In this case, I have x squared minus 16. X squared minus 16 can be written as x squared, 16. What times what gives you 16? 4 times 4 gives you 16. So this is actually 4 squared. So when I factorize this, bear in mind, this is not x minus 4 whole thing squared. This is incorrect. Okay, so make sure you got x, 1 plus, 1 minus. So x plus 4, x minus 4. Okay, so factorizing this, then you realize that, oh, this side over here, I only got x plus 4. What is missing? The x minus 4 is missing. So I add in the x minus 4, x minus 4. Okay, then simplify your answer. Okay, this question, common mistake. A lot of students thought this question is factorization by grouping. Now read the keyword. The word simplify and factorize are very different things. So simplify means just add the numbers together. If it's factorization by grouping, then you need to do the two groups. When you realize this one got nothing to group. Okay, so this one is just a very straightforward answer. Next one, factorize this one you must know how to do. If you still don't know how to do, you have to find help, seek help, then ask me again. Okay, so this one I'll not go through. Okay, next one I just go through one part of it. There is a difference between square of x cube of x, square root of x, cube root of x. All of them are different. Square of x, x squared. Cube of x, x cubed. Square root of x, square root x. Cube root of x, cube root x. Don't laugh at me repeating this, because when I marked the exam paper, so many of you mistook the square root of x to be x squared. Many. Okay, and then some of you wrote the x squared as square root. Okay, I also don't know, right? So just to highlight, so directly proportional, k times something. Okay, plug in the values, solve for k, then find the answer. Okay, so this question shouldn't be too difficult. You should be able to do. Question 17, same thing. You should know how to do. Just make sure you complete the basics, okay, for you to rearrange. Right, next one, this one over here, when you want to make something the subject, if there is a fraction, you cross multiply. Then the next few things, G, F, D. Group, factorize, divide. Group the terms that you want together. Factorize out the thing that you want, then divide it away. But in this case, there's nothing to group. We only want to make H my subject. So I shift away the negative 2f, become positive. Then I don't want the 3, I just divide with the 3. Okay, write the whole thing into your answer. This part over here, question 8a. Now just use this question to highlight. Square root means power. Square root means what power? Square root means power half. Okay. Cube root. Cube root will be power 1/3. Okay. Oh, somebody need. Right. So you need me to go back to the next few pages, is it? No.
Sure, it's okay. Already a bit late. Just send answer key later.
Oh, he wanted which question? Okay, never mind. All right. Okay. So in this question, power half. Okay, then when we have division, we subtract the power. So that's 8 minus 2, not 8 divided by 2, 8 minus 2, then you get 6. Then you times half or divide the power by 2, get x cubed. Okay, factorize this completely. Do not just rely on a calculator. If your calculator is not able to give you fractional answers, then you better make sure you know how to factorize. Okay, part B. I have a very strong feeling that this one, 8B might come out. Okay, first thing for this kind of pattern, right, you notice is something square, you will immediately think of a squared minus b squared. But the problem is 200, you cannot square root. 18, you cannot square root. Then what do we do with this kind of question? Okay, always number one, check for common factors. So realize that 218 have a common factor too. Okay, you factorize out the 2. Don't throw away the 2. You're not dividing it by 2. You're just factorizing it out. Okay, so don't throw away the 2. Keep the 2 over here. Okay, then next one, you notice, after I factorize out the 2, I get 100, a square, and a number 9. So 100 is 10 square, a square. 9 is the number 9 times 3 times 3, 3 square. So you can take square root, or square root of 100 is 10, square root of 9 is 3. Then that will give you 2 brackets, 1 plus, the other one minus. So a plus b, a minus b, 10a plus 3, 10a minus 3. Okay, so this question, please start during exam. If you try to do square root form, it doesn't work, then you check whether got common factor or not. Sometimes N-level exam can be so easy that they give you questions that look like that. Then you tell me, sure, cannot do a square minus b square. But here only got what? Common factor, 4x square minus y, nothing. Then that may just be the answer. So don't think overly difficult. Sometimes I get trick, okay? But what happens using these questions, what happens if I change this question into this? Can you tell me how to do this question? If it's this question, what do? We factorize out the common factor first. I get 4x squared. I factorize out y. I got 2 terms over here, right? So inside my bracket also must have 2 terms. What is this term at the back? Nobody answer me. Okay, then I'll answer myself.
-1.
Thank you very, okay, thank you very much. Okay, so in this case, this is the invisible -1. Okay, so there are some students who might miss this. Then with this step, then you notice why 4 is actually 2 squared. Sorry, 1 is actually 1 squared. Then you can factorize it into 2x plus 1, 2x minus 1. So this can be another type of trick question as well. So please take note. Okay, I'll write down here. Later you can refer to it. Okay, I'm only like so in the middle of so many things. Okay, this question, I personally like this question. It looked very simple, but it tests a lot of your concepts. First thing, when the question says they are similar, many students immediately, they can notice 0.4 to match with 6.4. Correct? Okay, this is what generally students are able to do. Then the next part of the question comes, they will match y with 2.32, which makes it not correct already. Why is that so? Because the question here strictly gave you one angle 74 degrees. This means, okay, you notice I had diagram on my own, I label it on my own. So this means if I were to have point A, angle A, ABC, angle A, this angle A over here must match with 74 degrees, which is this angle D that I call it on my own. Okay, then I look at the shorter side, A to B. So I will call this my shorter side. So where is the one that's on my shorter side? D to E. So here will be my shorter side. So B match with the E, the shorter side. Then I have my sharp point, C with my F. So when I realize and then I match this, right, then you'll realize that X is supposed to match with 2.32. It's not Y with 2.32. Okay, it's X with 2.32. So that's the beauty of this question. They never tell you, they only show it in terms of you in diagram. You have to see it on your own. Next thing, then how do I find the similar figures? I take the ratio, for example, small over big or big over small also can, up to you. Then I know X now corresponds to 2.32. Use the ratio, find the answer. Next one, Y is in terms of Z. So in this case, I use the scale factor that I found. I just need to write Y over Z and I bring this one over here. So that will be 5 over 8 times Z. Okay, so it's not a very difficult question, doable, just that students sometimes will mix up the ratio and which one comes first, right? So remember, similar figures match the corresponding size. Can? Are y'all still alive? Do y'all need a quick break or I can continue? Y'all okay? Not okay, also cannot already. Okay, I'll continue with the next part, all the parts on indices. Okay, next one, this one can be very simple, just for you to refresh. Okay, and we already went through division, power minus -2. This one, careless mistake. Okay, square root is power half. Who knows, maybe this year they come out cube root, then it's power 1/3. Just highlight a bit. Cube root is power 1/3. Okay, so if I give you like that, what is this? A to the power of 5. Cube root means I divide the power by 3. So the number inside the square root will be in the numerator. The number outside the square root will be in the denominator. So just in case it comes out, so just to test, just to let you know. Next question, for this type of question, very simple, straightforward. Okay, if you have a base that is not a prime number, okay, change this base to the smallest prime factor using prime numbers only. Don't just anyhow multiply number or divide, whichever. Okay, change all the base, individual base to the smallest prime factor. Okay, then when you notice this one has a bracket, it's 2 to the power 6, whole thing with another power 4/3, which means the power multiply with each other. Okay, we get this. Next one, this type of question, the power apply to both the numerator and the denominator. So this is 2 times 3/2, the power. But this number here is 9 to the power of 3/2, not 9 times 3/2. Okay, so not 9 times 3/2, it's 9 to the power of 3/2. Okay, so please take note, you can use that calculator to find the answer. Don't make careless mistake this way. This question, you're just going to revise. Same thing I was saying. Numbers, when the numbers over here are not in prime factors, change them to the smallest prime factor. Then you work out your whatever equation that you know of. Majority of you can do, just that you forget that you need to change it to prime factors. Okay, so until here, is everyone okay? So that's some of the main few questions for indices. Can? Okay, cannot. No response. Yes.
Just now you show the power is the fraction. What if it's negative?
What if the thing is a negative? For example, meaning, for example, I give you a square over 9 to power of negative 3/2. Is this okay? So let's say I will use this. This negative power means I switch the fraction. Switch the fraction, not switch the power. Okay, switch the fraction. So this one will become 9/a square. But the power is now from negative become positive. It is still 3/2. Don't go and anyhow swap this power, okay? It's the fraction that needs to switch, but the power stays, okay, same, from negative to become positive only. Then I apply this one to my numerator, apply this one to my denominator. Then I'll get 9 to the power of 3/2 over a to about 2 times 3/2. Okay, something like that. Then you get your answer. Okay? Okay? Okay. Next question. Okay, now I'm gonna go through a little bit more, highlight a few, okay, on this question. This one I already explained it in 2021 TYS paper. Just want to highlight this portion. Find the largest perfect square that is a factor of both P and Q. You'll notice this question is being repeated for this one over here. This is in 2021. This one was in 2020. Okay, so they are actually the same type of question. So now I'm going to use this to explain the question concept. What is the largest perfect square that is a factor of 504? So first we look at 504. 504 is 2 cubed, 3 square, 7. Okay, if I want the largest perfect square that is a factor, so first the factors must come from the numbers within. This is 2 cubed. What perfect square can I take out to be a factor? Cannot be more, can only be less. What can I take out from 2 cubed? The largest perfect square that I can take out from 2 cubed is 2 square, because perfect square have even power. Next one, 3 square on its own. So 3 square, the whole thing is perfect square, so I can just take out the whole of 3 square. 7 not enough to give me, I'm taking out, so not enough for me to take out anything. So the largest factor that can be a perfect square will be the number 36. Okay, taking this concept, now let us take a look. Find the largest perfect square that is a factor of both P and Q. So I'm going to look at P and Q itself, the factors. P and Q, but must be factor from both. Let me look at common, because from both of them, so I must look at whatever that's common. 2 cube and 2, what is common? The common factor is only just 2, but this is not a perfect square. Okay, next one, 3 to the power 4 and 3 to the power 8. They told me that 3 to the power 8 is a larger, the A is the larger value. So my common factor can only be 3 to the power 4. And 3 to the power 4 itself, the power is 2, is multiple of 2, right? Even number. So 3 to the power 4 is a perfect square. Hey, this one I can take. Next one, 5 and 5 square. Common factor first, can only get 5. 5 is not a perfect square. So my only answer is 3 to the power of 4. But they want the largest perfect square, they want the number. They did not say as a product of its prime factor. So I have to calculate out what is 3 to the power of 4, which is the number 81. Okay? Okay, so this question, I noticed that it's been repeated a few times already. Picking it up just in case they repeat the trend again. Next question. Now, just this question is just to highlight part C. Do you know how to explain whether it's a number, a prime number, or is it a perfect square or not a perfect square? So those of you who have my formula sheet, it's written the definition over there. A perfect square is a number that can be expressed in terms of its prime factors with powers that are multiple of 2. But of course, a prime number itself does not has more than 2 factors. So prime numbers only can have, my pen not working. Alamak. Okay, prime numbers only have 2 factors. One and itself. Therefore, if this is a case, there cannot be a case where its power can be a multiple of 2, because there are only 2 factors, one and itself, the prime number itself. You cannot have something square. So in this case, it must not be a perfect square. They can reverse this type of question and ask you to explain why is this number a perfect square. Please don't give me square root of a number is a decimal place or square root of a number is an integer. Therefore, it cannot be a perfect square. No, use the power. The power of the prime factors are multiple of 2 or not multiple of 2. That's for the perfect square. Okay, if it's perfect cube, then the powers are multiple. Perfect cube, the powers will be multiple of 3. Okay, so that's the common ones, right? With that, I think I finished this part on prime factors. Hopefully there might be harder questions, but generally if the harder questions come out, it's usually in paper 2. So paper 2 I'll revise again. Okay, this question over here, not very difficult. I believe all of you can do. Just practice your tokaso. But I need to highlight your memory. Do you know how to write converse of Pythagoras theorem? Okay, please memorize the pattern, the way to write the Pythagoras theorem. Include the labeling. Start with the longest side. Okay, include the labeling, use the number, get that value. You should see this value 2 times. Okay, so take the other one, the shorter side, add them together, get the value. They should be separated. Do not write this. The moment you start with this, immediate failure. This one wrong already. Means you are assuming Pythagoras theorem. Do not start with this. Okay, do not start with this. So do write separately for your own group. Okay, then do include the word converse of Pythagoras theorem. Okay, learn how to spell lah, huh? Okay, with that, shouldn't be too difficult for this portion. And then label the triangle. This one also the same. It has appeared a few times already. From 2014 all the way to 2021, this has been very commonly repeated. So it's a highly repeated question. Please understand what is the meaning of horizontal. The ladder mixed with the horizontal. The angle that the ladder, this is my ladder, with the horizontal ground. This is my horizontal ground. The vertical is the wall. This is vertical. This is the wall. Okay, so they are different. So the moment you find a wrong angle, okay, then you cannot get the answer. Please practice. I know some of you don't use Tokaso. You only use sine rule, right? Okay, please practice Tokaso. Basic you must know lah, huh? Next question. Okay, this one now next few part is all on angles. Okay, polygon. Mainly the main rule, formula that you need to know. Sum of interior angles, the formula n minus 2 times 180 degrees. This is for the total when it's not a regular polygon. Okay, so the moment you all can do this, most of you should be able to solve the equation. So just whether you remember the formula or not, memorize it. Okay, next one can have parallelogram, use the interior angles, then form equation solve. So you notice this type of question, the skill is quite common. Okay, then the next one comes to this kind involving the polygon and then finding the number of sides. So the question say 12 sides. So you plug in 12, okay, find the angle. Then they give you another one has 4 sides. Of course, 4 sides you must know lah. It's a square, right? So it's 90 degree. Then you find the angle. So now, do you know how to work backwards using the interior angle and the regular polygon interior angle formula, okay, to find the answer? Or what you can do, interior angle, the exterior angle will be 180 minus. Then you just take 360 and divide by number of sides. Okay, both methods is workable. So for this part, just go and memorize these formulas, right, and apply it. This question is slightly a little bit different. You need to understand the meaning of the line of symmetry. So for a regular decagon, for polygons that are even number of sides, okay, 4 sides, 6 sides, 8 sides, 10 sides, 12 sides, as long as the number of sides are even number, you can easily cut it into 2 parts where the angles are symmetrical. Okay, so this angle itself, you can find this whole angle using the regular polygon interior angle formula. Divide it by 2 to get one small part, then use the 180 minus to it. Concepts are. So you notice all these few questions that are the different patterns that come out, they will always test you either this formula, if not, they test you on this regular polygon formula. Okay, some will test you on the concept of isosceles triangle. So there are a few different other questions you can go and find out and then study them if you need to. Okay, give me a minute, huh? Okay, next part. The next few part is a quick one on angles. The one that are slightly harder is they will ask you to show and explain to us why are 2 lines parallel to each other. How do I know why are 2 lines are parallel? The common properties that uses the 2 lines are parallel. Number 1, corresponding angles. Number 2, interior angles. Then number 3, alternate angles. These are the 3 properties, angle properties that are commonly used to show that something is parallel to something. Now the question, how do I even know that they want me to show parallel? Because the question says trapezium. What is the characteristic of a trapezium? Characteristic of trapezium has 1 pair of parallel lines. So if I can prove that there is 1 pair of parallel lines, then it will be a trapezium. Then how can I prove? Use my angles. Question say EH is equals to HG. That means I have an isosceles triangle. EH is equals to HG over here. So once I have isosceles triangle, immediately 180 minus the x divided by 2. But this expression itself is very difficult to manage because it has a mixture of number and algebra together. What can we do? We can separate out number divided by number. So 180 divided by 2, which gives you 90. X divided by 2, x minus 2. So I separate it up into 2 portions. Next thing, question say the angle EHG. EHG, this angle is 2 times. So this angle is actually 2 units of the angle EGF. So 2 units. So I take this one divided by 2. So EGF in this case is this number divided by 2. So it's x minus 2. Then what do I need to do? So I realize that I have highlighted in terms of green color. This is looking at a pair of interior angles. Okay, interior angles, what's the property of interior angle? A plus B is equals to 180. So I have A plus B to be equals to 180. Let me check. Angle FGH will be 90 minus x, which is this portion over here, plus x over 2, which is this portion over here. This angle is 90 degrees. And I know EFG given to me, this angle is also 90 degrees. So 90 plus 90, the two of them will give me 180. By interior angles on parallel lines, okay, quote the property name, itself. Okay, you need to state the property name. Therefore, this parallel line is parallel. If it's parallel, it's a trapezium. Now, in exam, sometimes some of you cannot think of what to do. Don't worry, out of the 3 marks, if you cannot get the full 3 marks, what can you do? First step, you can find the individual angles first. That will at least give you 1 mark or so, or maybe sometimes you're lucky, 2 marks. Then with the numbers ready, then you can try to form a relationship. If you cannot get the angle property correct, at least you found the angles, you can get 1 mark. Better than leaving it empty and getting 0. Okay, so this is one of the, this question have not been repeated before. Okay, may or may not come out, we never know. Maybe this is the year that they will repeat it. So do watch out. Okay, this one is just to test whether do you know this property name. Exterior angle of triangle. Exterior angle triangle property says that this angle plus this angle will be equals to the exterior angle. Okay, so this is just a property. Of course, some of you might do the longer method. You do 180 minus 124 lah, then 180 minus this to give you this A. Okay, can, but the question only give you 1 full mark. 1 mark for the angle, 1 mark for the reason. No reason, no proper reason. You want to do your long method, right? Can write down all the reasons. Okay, no proper reason, cannot get the answer. But technically speaking, they only want give a reason for your answer. So they only want 1 single reason. Exterior angle of triangle. Yeah. Okay. Then do you need a quick break? If not, I have many pages. The next part I'm going to do on is a little bit more on applications of graph. Okay, give me a minute. Let me drink some water. Okay, the next part, applications of real life applications of graph. Okay, graph, this type of questions, sometimes it came out, I pick out a few. Okay, this one over here, and there's another one more on, oh, it's at the back. There's another one more on temperature conversion, this one. Okay, both this type and this type over here is all practical applications of graph. Let's understand what is this graph about first. First thing you have to know, this is called a subscription graph, certain subscription. So for the certain fixed number of units, the price is fixed cost. It's fixed at a certain rate. So you notice that there's a flat line. So actually for the first 15 units, 15 kg in this case, the price remains constantly at a fixed cost of $40. So first blank, fixed cost of $40 to deliver a parcel up to a maximum of 15 kg. Next one, then the next part they ask you, Additional cost 1 kg per $2. Additional cost is when the graph starts to go upwards. So this is my additional cost. How do I know how to find this? This is dollar per kg. Dollar per kg. My y-axis is in terms of money. X-axis is in terms of kg. So this is actually my y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1, where is my y unit money and x unit kg. So taking these 2 points of the end points of the graph, okay, then I find the difference and calculate the gradient. That will give me $2 per kg. So when it comes to straight line graph, always have information. The y equals to mx plus c in general. This one for an application graph, this is usually the fixed cost. This gradient will be a rate. Looking at the units in this case, money over per kg. It can be volume per minute, distance per second, it can be cost per unit, it can be temperature per minute, kind of things. So read the x-axis, the y-axis unit, the x-axis the unit. Okay, so this one is the gradient. Then other questions, you just draw a line and then read from the graph. Okay, now, so this one practical application. This question should know how to do. This one is just a trick question because students go and find the percentage discount instead, right? But technically speaking, you should know how to do. Now, this one also reverse percentage. I said many times already. This number is an 2.5 increase. It's not the 100%. So 24190 is not the 100%. Okay, the one in 2016 is 100%. So please check. Next one, this one is called a tiered table. Okay, so you have to split it up into 2 portions. The whole amount, 24190, split into first 20,000, and the next is not next 100,000. Haven't reached 100,000 yet. Okay, haven't reached 100,000 yet. So it's the remaining amount. So 24190 minus away the 20,000 to find the remaining amount. Okay, for this amount up to 10,000 itself, okay, I need to pay 2%. So I calculate, right? Next question is simple interest, but I forgot to include compound interest. I hope you all also know how to do compound interest. Okay, there are a few complicated methods, but for me, I will highlight this method, the one that is easier for you. Okay, this number, this one here, they did not give you the principal amount. You have to find the principal amount, okay, to begin with. But for simple interest, it's very easy. Just need to add a fixed amount every year. So original amount will therefore be my 100%. My interest, I keep on adding. They say end of the year, end of 1 year only. So I add only 1.8%. So that means the 101.8% represent this, calculate the 100%. Okay, reversely, this question can also appear in terms of compound interest question. Okay, invested some money at a compound interest rate of, compound interest, what am I writing? Compound interest rate of 1.8%. If that's the case, remember your formula, total amount is equals to 1, AP bracket 1 plus R over 100 to the power of N. If they give you that the total amount is 1272.50, principal I do not know, interest rate 1.8%, to the power, maybe they say, for example, let's say 3 years. Okay, so 3 times. Then I want to find the value that they have invested. So I just divide. This is just a number. Divide by the whole thing over here. Okay, just divide. Then you can get your principal amount of money. Okay, so this kind of question can come in terms of simple interest or compounded interest. Are you still alive? Do you need a break? No reaction. Is this okay? Okay. Next part, this one, just for you to refresh your memory. What is the formula for solving quadratic equation? Anyone? X equals to negative b. This one is a plus minus square root b square minus 4ac over 2a. Common mistake, student will forget this plus or minus. What does this plus or minus means? How to find the answer? They are different. This means the first answer is negative b plus square root. Okay, or the second answer is negative b minus the square root over 2a. Okay, so got two different answers. If not, you use your calculator, mode 22, mode 33, mode 522, mode whatever mode to help you find the answer straight away without your calculation. But you must plug in values. You must show the working. Is this okay? Next question. This one, for you to refresh your memory, they like to do the simultaneous equation and quadratic equation with the in terms of algebraic word format. So Bob multiply the number by 8, so 8 times n, and adds 14, so like that long. Then this is equivalent to the same person with the number who multiply it by 2, so simple. Okay, next one, subtract 6 times of Bob number, so minus 6n from the cut n. So when they say it's from something, okay, n is in front, the minus 6n is at the back. So if you put it the other way around, your answer will be wrong. Okay, so this one is just to highlight the types of phrasing of the algebraic questions. There should be another one, yes, quadratic. This one is in terms of quadratic.
You can go back to the previous question very fast.
Yes, this part, which part? You let me know when you are ready. Okay, so this one, the questions. Can Okay, next question. Now this part over here has the same type of concept, just that it's a quadratic equation. Now the part that students are not very sure how to express mostly is this portion over here. G is 3 more than F. When you are not very sure, G is 3 more than F, then your question is, which number is big? Which number is small? G is 3 more, so G is big. Then F, so F must be small. So when you do not know which side is 3, right? They're very simple. You take big minus the small, the difference will be equals to 3. So if you are confused with this type of expression, you do not know where do I put a plus 3, then what you can do, you can take big minus small is equals to 3. Okay, but here highlight a bit. Subtract the whole of this. Remember to put your brackets. Okay, because the sign here will change. Okay, so remember to put your brackets. Let's say I'm not able to do part A. I can still solve part B. But I need to highlight. Question here says factorization. Cannot use algebraic formula. So you must do the factorization. Okay, students who still don't know how to do factorization, you better make sure you practice, double check, ask somebody to teach you, or you ask me. Okay, so this one you factorize and then you solve for answer. Since they say n is a positive integer, so you choose the positive number. Can? Okay, these are very standard questions that will definitely come up. Either paper 1, paper not paper 2. Okay, very common one. Then I'm going to continue next. Quadratic equation. Number pattern. I believe most of you know how to do number pattern. For this kind of number pattern, you notice this one over here is a plus 3, and plus 3. So when you write the n term, it must be plus 3n with the n, okay, plus 3n. Then I need to check what is the number such that I plus 3 will give me -2? So in this case, I minus 3, I found my number to be -5. So I got -5 plus 3n. Some students will do a plus d bracket n minus 1. Make sure you expand correctly and change the sign accordingly. So if this is plus 3, then it will be plus 3n. If the sequence is -5, then it will be -5n. Okay, for example, then go and find term 0. What's the term 0? Okay. Next part. Here, how do you check whether it's a term in the sequence or not? You take the formula given and the term number, equate them, solve for n. But this one does not give me any mark. You have to give a reason. They want to hear your explanation. If n is an integer, it is a term in the sequence. If n is not an integer, it will not be a term in the sequence. Okay? Next part, the k term. This one repeat a few times across the different years already. They purposely test you. So the k term, my formula here is the letter n. Correct? But they want the k term. So this is telling me that now I have to change my letter n to the letter k instead. So they might be purposely tricking you for the understanding or want to minus marks for your working. So be extra careful. Right? So you solve for the value of k. Okay? All right, this one number pattern. Hopefully the one that comes out are the easier ones. If they come out with all kinds of diagrams or whichever, I wish you good luck. Then you try make logical sense. Don't leave blank. Okay. Next part of the question, coordinate geometry. A lot of students don't like this chapter. Okay, I just highlight some of the common ones. You notice they are all almost about always repeat the same few concepts. Okay, so first one, how do you find gradient? Many of you know how to find gradient. Just make sure you put your y2 minus y1 on top over x2 minus x1. Sometimes you get nervous, you put it the other way around, then all wrong. Okay, so please, y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now, equation of a straight line is y equals to mx plus c. Something I found from my gradient, I calculate the gradient using the points that I have. I get gradient is 2. So my m gradient is now the number 2. But what is my y-intercept? Observe, y-intercept is the number that cuts the y-axis. This number is already directly 3. So I write in the number 3, save time. If you don't want to do this, you're not comfortable, then you can let y equals to 2x plus c. You can sub in a point, maybe 3, 9, or whichever number that you want. Then you solve for your equation. C is still the same number. But remember, this is not your final answer. Paste it in terms of your equation. Okay, equation of the line must have x and y, must have x and y. So some of you will replace it by numbers. Okay, that's not correct. So x and y. Next one, just a simple check on the length. Okay, make sure you know the formula. Okay, and then next one, they say A, B, C, D is a parallelogram with AB and AD being two sides. Then the first question, some of the students are asking, sure, which one is A, which one is B, or which one is D? Then they assume that this point over here is the A or whatever. No, read part B. Part B says A is the point 39, B is the point 44. So when you are not sure, read the question again, So since I have this diagram over here that looks like that, okay, let me highlight with a different color. So this is A and then this is B. Then they tell me point D is here. So I join up, I get this line. Okay, if I want it to be a parallelogram and there is a certain sequence, A to B to C to D. So A go to B, go down. B must go to point C. then go up to D. So if I have a parallelogram, it means this length, this slope over here, or maybe I should put what color? I also don't know. Okay, let me erase it away. Okay, that means this slope over here, okay, I just leave it like that. So that means this line over here, okay, A go to B should be the same as D go to C. Okay, they need to be parallel. How do I count? I count horizontal and vertical units. Okay, so this is 1 by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 1 to the right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 down. So therefore, this one must be point C. Then write the coordinates. Okay. Which one? Give me a minute. Simon asked me a question. Google Classroom has no blank copy. I do not have blank copy. Okay. So in this case, what was I saying? Oh, okay, parallelogram. So find the point C. Next one, question asked me whether is this a rhombus. Property of a rhombus, number one, the sides must be equal. Why did I actually choose this property to use? Because they asked me to calculate length before it. So what I need to do, I need to show that, oh, I calculate the length of another side. Okay, is it a rhombus? So I need to calculate the length on this side, B to C or A to D, right? Either one. So since my C, I'm not confirmed whether did I get a correct answer or not. So I'm not going to use C. So I'm going to use AD. So I used the formula and found that AD is equal to this number, but AB was previously calculated at this number. They are not the same length. So therefore, it must not be a rhombus. Okay, they can ask you similar questions. For example, is this a trapezium? How to show whether is it a trapezium or not? They must have same parallel sides. So parallel lines have what kind? What is the same? Same gradient. Okay, so if they want you to show trapezium, parallelogram, or whichever, parallel lines have the same gradient, then you find the gradient. Okay, if it's a rhombus, then you can say, oh, the lengths of the sides are the same, or square, the lengths of the sides are the same. Then you can find the length, right? So parallel lines have the same gradient. Okay, so this question over here, not very difficult, just once the question says drawing the line. You'll notice a few of these skills are being repeated. Drawing the line, draw the line. So I need to draw a line. What do? I draw a table. Okay, plug in points. There are so many points, X values here that I can choose from. Of course, I choose the numbers that can fit in, so I can change the values. So I'll try 0, 1, 2, or maybe you want to try other numbers also can, no problem. Plot a table for this equation, then plot the line, draw. When the question says find the solution for the simultaneous equation, it's looking for the point of intersection. The X value will be the X solution. Okay, X solution. The Y value here will be the Y solution for that point of intersection. Okay. Next part, the question says the equation of line have the same gradient. So we were saying same gradient means it's parallel line, same gradient. Okay, parallel line. So I find the gradient for line L, this line that was given to me. So choose 2 points along this line. Okay, I chose 1, 4 and 3, 3, easier. Alternatively, if you know y equals to mx plus c, you want to rearrange it and get the gradient, also can. If not, I'll just mark 2 points, get my gradient. After I got my gradient, oops, who's here? After I get my gradient, give me a minute, who is here? Oh, Jaden. Okay, after I get my gradient, then I want to find the y-intercept. They already give me a point. And this one, when x equals 0, y equals to 7. So that is obviously the y-intercept. So for me, I'm able to write down the equation straight away. If you're not sure, you can just write down your steps again to find the y-intercept. Okay, then the next one, the line has a gradient. Again, rearrange into y equals to mx plus c and find the y-intercept. X is equal to 0. I explained something similar to this before, so I'm not going to go through this again. Okay, it's almost 4 o'clock. Are you still awake? You're still alive, huh? Can or not? Okay, all right, I try. Okay, next part. This one is possibility diagram. Now, there are a few types of probability questions. The one with a spinner, the one that they ask you to write the different combinations, the order of the sequence, you choose the percent and you write, or this type of table. Okay, and then in this case, this one is asking you to add numbers. Right. Yeah. Okay, so you can fill up the table. So the table is not difficult to fill, but you should know for a possibility diagram, we should find the total number of outcomes. This one has 6 by 6, so there are a total of 36 outcomes. That means all our denominator is over 36. Okay, and they want to find that the probability the sum is 4. You just count the number of favorable cases. Count the number of favorable cases. Okay, more than 9. More than 9, 9 is not included. More than 9, 9 is not included. Okay, more than 9, 9 is not included. Okay, then you count the number of favorable cases, simplify the fraction. Okay, then you can get your answer. Okay, for this type of question, very simple. Don't need to do 1 over something times 1 over something. No, that one usually comes in paper 2. Okay. Next part, next type of question where they ask you to write down the combination. Why did I choose this question again? Because generally the ones that we have done so far is very simple. Let's say green car, green 1, green 2, green 3, red 1, red 2, red 3. Those are very simple. But this question here is 5 people from the committee. The same person, okay, if you choose it in a different orientation. For example, I choose BCA. This BCA is actually the same 3 person as ABC. So I cannot write BCA again. So that's why when a lot of you, when I mark the TYS for this question, right, some of you got so many different combinations because you didn't see the fact that I cannot choose the same 3 person in a different position, in a different order. But because they'll be the same 3, they are exactly the same combination. So for this kind of question, this particular question, you must be very clear-headed. Make sure you do not repeat the same 3 person again. Okay, so this one, go and figure it out on your own. I wish you good luck. Next one, this one is a case where you have the possible score. They want to take the smaller subtract, a big subtract small. So the bigger number minus the smaller number. So the largest number is 6 minus the smallest number is 1. Then cannot have 0 anyway. So cannot be 6. Can I have 0? No, because 0 and 6 and 6 is the same number. So definitely they are talking about the one larger, one smaller. So it's 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay, so out of that, now the next part says, I want the probability of getting a score 4. To get a score 4, either you have 6 minus 2 or 5 minus 1. That means I need to get a 6 and 2 or 5 and 1. Then I 1 over 6 times 1 over 6. Then all means add together. So n, we multiply or we add. Okay, give me a minute. This one here, yeah, okay, they just say bigger minus smaller number. This question never say which one comes first, so it doesn't really make a difference. Okay, I am not sure whether need to repeat 2 and 6. Then 1 and 5. This one I don't know whether I need to repeat the order or not. This one, let me find out the answer. Double check my TYS answer and then I get back to you all again, okay? I don't think need to repeat. Not very sure. I cannot remember it. Okay? But in case it need to repeat, I just multiply. I just take 1 over 18 another time. So 1 over 36 times 4. This question, this one is actually from paper 2. 2015, one of the paper 2 question, or 2014, either one. Okay, this is actually a very interesting question to test your understanding. Number 1, to calculate median or whichever, make sure you arrange the numbers from small to big. But the problem is I don't even know what are the numbers, how to arrange, right? So for me, when I first started, right, I left all this blank. Okay, I left all this blank. First part, they tell me the median is 28. So if they tell me that the median is 28 over here, right, it means either I can have 28, 28, but they say P is smaller than Q, smaller than R. That means I cannot have two numbers that is 28. I cannot have two numbers that's the same. Because my number in the middle, I need to take these two, add together, divide by 2. So what is the number that I can add together, divide by 2, and give me 28? This must be related to the number 29. So I fix my number 29. So if I want to get 28, what number plus 29 divided by 2 can give me 28? Oh, 27. So I fix the number, one number is 27. This one can be either P, Q, or R. Then next one, I have two blanks over here. One is 25, one is 26. So I fix 25, 26 over here. Next part, the question say modal mark is 29. That means 29 must repeat itself for at least one more time. Then I'll check what is my last number. They give me the mean, right? So the mean, I'll take the total. I'll take 28 times 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 numbers. That's the total. I minus away all the different numbers and got this number to be 32. Then I check, they say find the values of P, Q, and R. P is the smallest number that I've added. 29 I added, 32 I added. So P is the number 27, Q is the number 29, R is the number 32. Okay, so I think this is quite a good question in case if it comes up. Next one, for standard form, I believe most of you know how to do. I took this question out from paper 2 question just to highlight, okay, when this is for multiplication of standard form. When we have multiplication of standard form, numbers with the number 4.3 with 3.6, I multiply it, I get the number 15.48. Powers with powers, this is not multiply. When we have multiplication, the power add together. So it's A plus B. The problem is they want K to be a number less than 10. This is already 15. So I need to change it to standard form, which is 1.54. 1.54 is not 15. So 1.44 times 10 to give me 15.48. Then powers again, we add the powers together. So the number K is just 1.54. Then the power is add everything together, A plus B plus 1. Okay, this one is a new latest strand question. Maybe it might come out for paper 2. I do not know. So you try. Okay, focus and check. Make sure you know how to do. Practice. Next question. This one, estimated mean. Most of you already know how to do. I just a bit worried because this time round, the last paper I saw it with 3 marks. So if it's 3 marks, better make sure you know how to find the answers. Okay, the calculation, the working. So summation, estimated mean is summation frequency, summation fx over summation f. This formula is given in the cover sheet. What is this? This is sum. This one is sum. Sum of f multiply with x. So x is my mid value that I found for each of the different interval. This is my frequency. So this row times this row to give me the row over here, fx. Okay, I add up all the fx to give me this number. Then I add up all the frequency to give me this number. Then we divide by each other. Okay, this one is the sum of frequency. Okay. Then questions, similar questions that spins off. Why is this only an estimated mean? I went through many times in class with you, right? We do not know the raw data. That's number one. But that is not sufficient. Why is it called estimated? Estimated because we use the mid value. These are all the mid values we find to estimate the mean. Why is the range? Why is it that the range could be wrong? Range is given by largest minus the smaller. So technically 12 minus 0 is 12, right? But why is it could be wrong? Because we do not know the raw data, but that is not sufficient. Explain understanding of range. Range is largest minus smallest. So the largest value, they say less than or equal to 12. Can be 11, can be 11.5, 11.9. So the largest value may be smaller than 12. At the same time, they say the smallest value is 0. This one is greater than 0. So it need not necessarily be 0. It can be the smallest value is a number larger than 0. So in this case, if that's the case, we minus away, the range will not be 12. Okay. If one more additional timing of 8.5 hours is included, how will it affect the mean? Our estimated mean is 5.64, a small value. This one is 8.5. Suddenly add in one more large value. What will happen to the mean? The average. It will pull up the overall average. So this will get explained because this is larger than the mean. Therefore, it will increase the mean. If a number is way smaller than the mean, then it will decrease the mean. If the number added is exactly equals to the mean, then the mean stays the same. Okay? I repeat again. If the number larger than mean, increase the mean. If the number smaller than the mean, decrease the mean. If the number is exactly the same as the mean stays the same. Okay, next one. This one is for error where every number is increased or decreased by a certain value. Okay, if every number is being increased, the new mean on average, of course, must increase. State the difference. Increase by how much? Don't just say increase only. Then what happens to the range? Remember, we say range is the largest minus the smallest. If I take my largest number, let's say my largest number was 12, the smallest number was 0. Now I added 5, increased by 0.5. So the largest number is now 12.5, minus the smallest number is now 0.5. I subtract away each other. The range is still 12. The range stays the same. So because there's a difference, okay, something minus something, whatever that I added, they will cancel off each other. So the range stays the same. This is the same for standard deviation. Standard deviation formula is in terms of this. If you cannot remember, look at the cover sheet. Okay, this is the standard deviation formula. It comes in the form of subtraction as well. So whenever all the data is calculated wrongly, increased by a certain number, the effect is still subtraction. So the standard deviation also stays the same. So that has the same thing as range. It also stays the same. Okay, but haven't come up before. Now just next one, just to highlight a few difference. You got dot diagram, you got box and whiskers plot, but box and whiskers plot will be in paper 2. Paper 1 can have dot diagram, bar graph, histogram, back-to-back stem and leaf diagram, and stem and leaf diagram itself. Okay, so I just pick up one of the simplest for you to practice, but this one, the purpose of this question is for you to take note. Read the key. You can work out all the answers, but if you never read the key carefully and then set a trap down there, all your answers will be wrong. This key tells you it's 5.4 cm. So please put your answers 8.7, 7.0, whatever. If the question say this number represents in terms of 1,000, then your answer need to add a few more zeros for 1,000. If this one say million, then put million. Okay, whatever. So follow, read the key. Okay, median and mean are different. Okay, median and mean are different. Mean is add up all the data, divide by the total number of data. That is the average. For a stem and leaf diagram, usually they call for the median. So median, find the middle position. There are 28 of them. N plus 1 over 2. That's the middle position. Okay, over 2. That's the middle position. So after we have the middle position is the 14 and the 15 number. Count from the one nearest to the stem, from the one nearest to the stem. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. From the one nearest to the stem outwards. Okay, if you have a back-to-back stem and leaf diagram, this is your stem. Okay, for these numbers that are here will be 1, 2, 3, 5, 1, 1, 3, 3, 7. Okay, numbers that are like that, you need to count from the stem outwards, From here on this side is this way. So when you have a stem back-to-back stem and leaf diagram, this number is read this way. Okay, and if let's say this stem is 5, 2, this is not 25, this is 5.2. Take the stem first, then the leaf. Stem, then the leaf. This is not 2.5, this is 5.2. Okay. Median, add the two numbers together, divide by 2. If you have an even number, usually it will be like that. Okay, if it's an odd number, usually just one answer. The other one is simple, so I leave you to do the answer. for 12 already. Next one, this one, practical application of graph. Read the values. They say 95 degrees, so read the axis, degrees Celsius is here, so read 95, then find the answer. This one need to count squares, units. So 10 square is 50 unit, 1 square how much? Then we can count the number. Okay, in the middle of square 2.5, something like that. Okay, so you can count. The part is down here. So how do you find a suitable line? Okay, the next few questions were all these are suitable line to solve this. So you notice degree Fahrenheit and degree Celsius equal to each other. How to draw? So I can only know that they are equal to each other. So I put 0, 0, 50, 50, 100, 100, equal to each other. So what do? I plot 0, 0, 50, 50, 100, 100. How do I know I must plot 0, 0, 50, 50, 100? No, not necessarily, it's fixed. Look at your axis, what are the x and y value that's available. So in this case, I draw my blue color line already. Everything is equal to each other. Then they want to find the point where the Fahrenheit and the degree Celsius are equal. So I look for the point of intersection. Okay, these two values are equal, then you estimate and count your units. I approximate it to be 35. I'm not very sure of the actual answer. Okay, so can you calculate? Try to find the number. Okay, this one is to use a suitable line. Again, next question over here. This one, drawing a graph shouldn't be a problem. Most of you can draw. But the question is, write down the equation of a line that can be used with this graph to solve this equation. Okay, this is the part that you need to highlight. Okay, how to do this type of question? Let me redo again. The question gives me 2x equals to 1 minus x squared. But they say must use it with the graph. The graph is x squared plus 2x. So in this case, what do I have to do? I have to rearrange to make my graph appear. I will shift the negative x squared over to this side. Keep the 2x here, so that I get x squared plus 2x. I make my graph equation appear. And I'll leave the numbers that do not involve down here. So I rearrange the x squared, I shift it over. Then this whole thing is equals to y equals to this one. So this is y equal to the number 1. So what is the line that I need to draw? I need to draw one more line, y equals to 1. Okay, this one is a trick question. Okay, repeat. Right, Then the question say hence solve. Hence solve meaning I need to draw long. So I need to draw y equals to 1. Y equals to 1 is this line. Y cut the y-axis at the number 1. So how do I solve? Look for the point of intersection. Estimate the value from your graph. Okay, but this one, the square grids are so small. Please count the squares. Okay, how many squares represent how many units? For this portion, these two parts, are you okay? The one that say draw a suitable line, the one that draws suitable line. Do you need me to explain this part again? Anyone need me to explain this part?
Yes, Joe, why is it not like equal to 0? Why you equal it to 1?
Equal to 0 because the question did not equal it to 0. Okay, you see, this is my original question, right? The original question here is 2x equals to 1 minus x squared. Okay, my graph only have x squared and 2x. So it may not necessarily be equal to 0 because my number here, my original question has the number 1. So my objective is to, they say use together with this graph, right? The graph is just x squared plus 2x. I just need to rearrange and make sure my x squared plus 2x appear. So I rearrange it, I shift the negative x squared over this side to make it x squared. This one originally have 2x plus 2x. The moment that this thing appear, I do not need to add or subtract any other numbers already. I keep it. This one, the 1 is existing. It's still in the question, so it stays there. So I just need to look out for the portion that has what my graph gives me. X squared plus 2x. So this part is just y equals to 1. Okay, let me give you a very simple answer. Okay, question. Let's say my question, my graph is x squared plus 2x minus 5, for example. Okay, for example. Then they say the question they give me is 2x equals to 1 minus x squared. Okay, what I need to do, I rearrange this to make it x squared plus 2x equals to 1. So far, this portion is the same, correct? But then the graph question, the graph that I draw got 1 minus 5. Then what am I going to do? I'm going to add a minus 5 on the left-hand side, add a minus 5 on my right-hand side, so that this whole thing will appear. Then this part will be numbers. So it's not necessary always to be equals to 0. Okay, it depends on what is my question, my graph, right? So if I were to have only this, then it's just 1. Okay, so if I were to say my graph is, let's say, plus 3, I rearrange already, I get this, but this is not my graph. My graph got a plus 3, then I plus 3 from here, plus 3 from here. Then this one will become y equals to 4. So the number over at this side, over here, right, the number over here can change, can be different, may not necessarily be 0. Okay, I don't want to explain and make it overly difficult. This one I just want to highlight, rearrange, make this portion x squared plus 2x appear can already. So you just rearrange it. Okay, usually for your syllabus, you all don't need to plus or minus things. Okay, plus minus thing is usually for O-level syllabus, but just rearranging is still inside the syllabus. So just rearrange it. Can try. Okay, good. Okay, so now this part done. Next one, this graph, just to highlight. Okay, there are a few types of graph that can come out. Graph is no longer just in paper 2, can be in paper 1. Can have quadratic, which you should know how to draw, happy face or sad face. Okay, can have cubic, you hopefully that the turning point. The other type is exponential form, y equals to 2 to the power x, something like that. Okay, exponential form, this type. So these are the 3 main. Another type is the one with the Nike tick. Don't know whether you still remember or not, the one with the Nike tick. This one, Nike tick, usually appears in paper 2. Okay, but the main few types of graph, either happy face, sad face, turning point, the exponential one, or the one with the Nike tick. So this type of few graph, the question, please remember the shape. Then when they don't give you a table and they ask you to complete the graph, plot a table on your own. Plot a table on your own. What values to choose? Choose whatever x value that there is. Okay, you choose. Okay, next part, again, using the same axis, draw this line, another line. They ask you to draw another line. Okay, gradient, same gradient means parallel law. Okay, but the gradient is -2, so y equals to mx. The m is -2. Passes through this point. So this one very clearly, x is 0 means it's the y-intercept. So the y-intercept is -4. So the moment I know this is my equation, I need to draw this line. Again, table. Then plot the table. When the question says solve or find or whichever, find the point of intersection. Then find the answer. Okay, but this one again need to count the scale. Okay, so same type, whenever they say draw line or whichever, plot a table. Don't just leave blank. Okay, 4:20. Are you still all right? I have a few more. Let me finish up. Okay, quick one. This one, I just highlight these two. They are from different years. Do you notice what is the shape? Do you notice what's the shape? Different year paper, but they like to set on trapezoidal prism. So what is a prism? Prism is the volume of prism is cross-sectional area times length, volume of prism. So find the cross-section area. That one I need to know area of trapezium, half A plus B times H. Okay, then the length, this one is the length. So imagine this is a piece of cake. You slice it, everyone get the same shape of the cake. So it's in a trapezium. So using Pythagoras theorem, I know you can use the Pythagoras theorem, you can solve. Okay, now they say calculate the total surface area. So word of caution, when you want to find total surface area, find the individual surfaces. So my top 20 times 30, my side 12 times 30, this one 25 base, the slanted side. But remember, total surface area for prism got a front and a back. Okay, the front is the trapezium formula. So solve for find the trapezium formula. Okay, then add the front and the back. So add them together. Okay, so this one shouldn't be difficult, just need to do. Right, volume of prism, cross-section area, which is the prism, which is the trapezium, times the thickness or the length. Right, sometimes they can work backwards like this one. They give you the volume, ask you to find the length or find one of the missing sides. Okay, they can also ask you to find 5, right? So you have to work out, you know, the volume is equals to area of the cross section times the length. Okay, so if let's say they give you the volume, then they never give you P, they ask you to find this one over here. You can divide away P to find area of the trapezium, then you work backwards. So both ways can be done. So be more wise in using the formula. Can? Okay, know the concept, then slowly work backwards. Right, this type of solid, if it comes out for prism, I think it's still doable. Next type, the one that involves cylinder, cone. Cylinder, formula for volume of cylinder, base area, which is pi r square, times the height. So this is the volume. Okay, curved surface area of cylinder, take the circumference pi d times the height. Okay, cylinder. For cone formula, the formula sheets have the formula. Please go and read the formula sheet. Okay, this question, the volume, okay, they give you is made up of 1280 pi, but they gave you a hidden clue. Height of the cone is twice the height of the cylinder. So they gave you the whole height. You have to use the ratio to go and find the individual height. Okay, so volume is equals to volume of cone plus volume of cylinder. Don't panic, write down part by part first. Volume of cone, 1/3 base area times height. The other one, volume of cylinder, pi r square h. Then what do you notice? Here got pi, pi, and pi. All three of them have pi. I can cancel away the pi. Left with numbers. 8r squared plus 12r squared, 20r squared. Don't take square root first. Get rid. Make sure you get only r squared first. Get rid of the 20, then take square root. Okay, they say exact value, so you use pi, then you may not get exact value. Okay, alternatively, you want to get exact value, you can use pi to be 3.142. The cover sheet says can use what? So this is exact 3.142. Later you cancel away the 3.142, you divide, you can still get the same number. Okay, exact value. So radius is a length, so cannot have negative number. Okay, so for this kind of question, don't panic. Okay, write down part by part. Then you see what can be common factor, what can cancel away, how to shift around, what can you find. Okay, next part. This one is in paper 2. Not very likely, but just in case. This is not a semicircle. This is not an arc. This is a hemisphere. Hemisphere. So do not be misled by the question. Okay, next thing, why is this question so special? Because this is the radius. If you turn it, this is also the radius. So a lot of students cannot see this portion. Okay, so the whole thing is 20. Then they say the depth is 7. That means this portion here is 20 minus r. Not 7, but is it r? Wait, what is this? 20 minus 7. Sorry, this is 13. Why am I writing 20 minus r? Alamak. Okay, I solved my answer is wrong. No. This answer is wrong. Oh no. This is 20 minus 17. This is 13. Alamak. I saw it wrongly. Sorry. Oops. Let me erase all of this. This answer is wrong. Yeah. Everything wrong. This is 13. This is 13. I don't need to expand this. Okay, everything, this whole question, my answer here all wrong already. Can you all please change? The answer is much, much simpler because r is the radius of the water, the surface, but I know the whole thing is 20, the depth is 7 already. So this part should be 13 square. 13 square is 169. 169. So 400 minus 169. So I don't even need to factorize. This whole thing all wrong. Okay, I went to do quadratic equation. I thought it was unknown for the radius. Okay, so the whole part is wrong. Please don't use this answer. Okay, it should be a quick answer. 400 minus 169. What's 400 minus 169? Yeah. Somebody calculate for me, please. 400 minus 169. Get 213. 8231 is r squared. Then I take square root. R will be square root of 231. And that will give 15.198. Round off 15.2. That's it. Okay, so this one would be my what do you call that? This one would be my radius. So if they want to find the area of the water surface is pi r squared, which is pi times square root 231 squared, which gives me pi times the answer. Then I get 725 26 cm squared. Okay, so this part I did wrongly because I thought it was r, but it's actually 7. So 20 minus 7 is 30. Okay, so for this question, just tick. Okay, this one is in 2021 paper 2, I think. 2021 paper 2. Okay, though this part wrong, all wrong. So this part you'll just erase away. Okay, next question. So after we have cone, cylinder, and hemisphere or sphere, okay, next part, we are going to look at arc length, sector, area. Oh, this one is the cone. I went through this recently in 2021 paper 1, the video, so you can go back and take a look. Just a word of caution. When we cut out certain things, I want to find the total surface area. Find part by part. There are total of 3 surfaces. Area of the small circle, area of big circle, plus this curved surface area. Curved surface area of cone is pi RL. Big cone minus away the small cone. The curved surface only, not the total surface area, okay? So curved surface of big minus the curved surface of small. Then you add the circle, okay? Then next question. Okay, sector. This one, percentage of sector, I just recall the formula. Theta over 360 times, if it's arc length, pi r, 2 pi r, or pi d. Okay, if it's area, pi r squared. So in this case, I find the area of the whole sector. Then what do? I need to minus the area of triangle. Make sure you check your calculator. Is your calculator in degree mode? Okay, half A, B, sin C. Radian mode will only appear for paper 2. So paper 1, you must make sure your calculator is in degree mode. Okay, everyone just check and make sure you change your calculator to degree mode. Right? So area of shaded, you take the area of the whole sector minus that triangle. But they want percentage of the sector. When they want a percentage of the sector, meaning this sector here, the area of the sector here, must be your denominator when you find the percentage. Okay, so this one shouldn't be too difficult, just need to work out the answers. Next question, perimeter of the whole region. Perimeter of the shaded region does not include the radius. The perimeter is this arc length plus this AB. How do you find AB? Maybe you've forgotten. But well, we have cosine rule. C squared equals to A squared plus B squared minus 2AB cosine C square root. Okay, so just to refresh your memory for cosine rule, not very likely to come out because cosine rule by right is in paper 2. Okay, by right. But they want perimeter, you add everything up. There's another kind of question that involves perimeter. Okay, for example, this one is total area. You add the 2 sectors plus the rectangle. I believe you can do. Okay, find the perimeter. This perimeter, you need to take radius plus this length plus this radius. Take note, this radius here is not in the perimeter, so do not include. Add this arc length 2 times, then add one more 22. Just trace it part by part and find the individual portions, add them up together. But questions say leaving your answer in terms of pi. I also never write the correct answer. Questions say leave your answer in terms of pi. So I should calculate all these number over here in terms of pi. Let me write this number, 70 over 360 times 2 times 10. This number I got 35 over 9 pi. So 35 over 9 pi, 35 over 9 pi. Then I will leave this in terms of pi. I can only add the numbers. 10 plus 22 plus 10 plus 22. To 64 plus the 2 numbers 35 over 9 plus 35 over 9 to give me 70 over 9 pi. Okay, so this one, the answer in terms of pi, even I've forgotten that I didn't do it this week. Okay, next one, this one just highlight 2021 paper again. This one work backwards to find the angle but they say perimeter. This is not the arc length. So you must remember to include the two perimeter, the two radius, subtract away the two radius first, then find your angle. So go back and study. Then next question, last few already. This one, find the perimeter, should be able to add up all the different portions. Then this shape, the perimeter is 42, solve for x. Okay, next one. This one has appeared for three consecutive years already. I'm not sure whether will it appear again, but it has appeared the same diagram for 3 consecutive years. So I just highlight again. For this question, it says the floor is to be tiled using square tiles of size 25 cm. First thing, the units are not the same. This is in meters. So this is actually 500 cm. When I want to put in square tiles, I cannot just take the total area divide by the total area of the tiles. That is not logical. I need to take this 500 divide by the 25 cm. How many rows tiles can I fit into this row? So this is 500 minus 28 divided by 25. Here I can fit in 20. Okay, so 20 of this, let me cut this into half. 20 of this, then this portion here will be 2 meters, which is 200 cm. I divide by 25 cm. I will get 8 rows. So I got 20 columns and 8. So for this portion is 20 times 8, 160 tiles. Okay, then remaining here, this is 1 meter, which is 100 cm, divide by 25, that gives me 4. Okay, 4 rows, but this is 350 cm, divide by 25 cm, 350 is 14. That means this will have 4 times 14 to give me 56 tiles. Okay. There are cases where this number maybe it's not 340. Let's say this number is 360 or 380, for example. Then my number, right, 380 divided by 25 is, let's say, 15.2. For example, this number is 15.2. If I want to buy the tiles, I cannot buy exact. Then I need to round up for extra that I can cut off and then throw away. So that means if the number is not an exact number, I need to round up. Okay, but in this case, luckily, this is an exact number, so it's just 14 tiles that I can just multiply exactly. Then I add up the total number of tiles that I need. 160 tiles needed will be 160 plus 56 to give me 216 tiles. Okay, but 216 tiles, the tiles can only be bought in boxes of 10 tiles. So how many boxes do I need? Boxes of 10 tiles. I cannot buy only 21 boxes. So 216 divided by 10, I need to round up. By right, it's 21.6. I cannot buy. Sorry, yes? Asking. Okay, I cannot buy 21.6 boxes, so I have to round up to be 22 boxes. Then each box costs $18, so the cost will be 22 times 18. Why somebody has a strong objection against this number? $396. Okay, so everything need to be round up accordingly. Okay, to be careful of wastage. Okay, can? Okay, 3 consecutive years that have been coming out this kind of shape, exactly the same. And you would notice this question here, it looks like that, this shape, but it asks you for perimeter and algebra. This question here looks like that. The shape is almost exactly the same. They just rotate the picture only and enlarge. Okay, but they change the shape, change the type of question involving. So please watch out for the shapes. Okay, last part, last few already. This one over here, and they ask you to describe the motion. This is a speed time graph. It's traveling at constant speed. State the value 15 meters per second. For how long? For 15 seconds, or between t equals to 5 and 20. State the value. 1 mark is not just constant speed, must state the value. Calculate retardation. Retardation means it's the portion that's going down. Retardation is the gradient. So we find the gradient. But my gradient is for acceleration. So acceleration is negative 1.5. The retardation will be just 1.5. No negative sign. Okay. Then next question. This one also in TYS question. The distance traveled during the first 40 seconds. Then the most of you, right, will be stunned because you do not know what is the speed, what is the h. It's okay, leave it in terms of the h, right? Then this portion over here is a trapezium. So this one here, the distance traveled during the first 40 seconds. Okay, give me a minute, let me write this. Okay, so the distance in first 40 equals to 2/5 of the journey for the total distance. So area of triangle equals to 2/5 times area of trapezium. So you see, is the trapezium formula important? Definitely important. Must know how to do. Area of triangle, half times base 40 times the height. I don't know. Leave it. It's okay. 2/5 area of trapezium, half times A plus B times the height. I do not know. Leave it. Where is the A plus B? This portion, the parallel side, T minus 40 plus the base T. Okay. First step, before I simplify anything, I notice both sides got the H. Cancel away. It's multiplication, so I can cancel. If it's addition, then make sure it's a common factor, then I can cancel, okay? Then next part, 2 times, half times 40, 20. This number here multiply gives you 1/5. This bracket here add together, 2t minus 40. Then what's left? Expand and simplify. So 2/5t minus 8. 20. Shift over 28 equals to 2/5t. T equals to 28 divided by 2/5. Answer 70. Ta-da. Okay. Can be done. Write down the question, the whole statement, then plug in numbers, cancel out common factor, simplify. Okay. Do you need me to go through this question? Last already. I think this is the last, right? Let me check. Yeah, this is the last page. The other one, this one, too long already. You can watch the video for 2021 paper 1, the explanation. Okay, I just explained last question for speed time. Okay, this one again, the speed time graph is a speed time graph. The area of the speed time graph is for distance. The gradient is for the acceleration. The taxi started from rest and accelerated, meaning this is my gradient. Gradient is equals to 1.5. Okay, so they say for the first 10 seconds. So this point is 0, 0. This point will be 10v. Gradient. V minus 0/10 minus 0 equals to 1.5. Multiply the 10 across. V equals to 1.5 times 10. 15 meters per second. So find the value. Oh, sorry, they want the value. So just 15. So V is now 15. Okay, inside the number. Next, it travels for 18 seconds. So 18 seconds until here. Okay, and then decrease the speed to 0. The total distance traveled was 459. So the area of the trapezium. So half times A plus B times height equals to 495. Area of trapezium, the two parallel sides, this one 18, this whole thing T. So 18 plus T. times the height, the V that you have found, 15. Word of caution, if you do not know how to do part A, don't give up part B. Write an answer for part A and then tuck it in. The step here, even though your answer for V is wrong, but the working itself has method mark. Okay, so don't just give up the answer like that. So 18 plus T will be equals to 495. I don't want the half, I multiply by 2. I don't want the 15, divide by 15. So T equals to this number minus 18. I get the number 48 answer. Okay, so T is now 48. I get 48 ready. Find the retardation. Again, I'm looking for my gradient. But my gradient is acceleration. So gradient for this portion, this part retardation is going down. So 28, 15, and 48, 0. So 28, 15, 48, 0, 28, 15, 48, 0. Y2 minus Y1 over X2 minus X1. Check the units. 15 is meters per second. T is second. So it will be meters per second square. 15 over 28 minus 48. Get negative 0.75. But my retardation is only 0.75 meters per second square. Just the value, no negative sign. Because they already say retardation. Okay. The last question over here, I'm not going to explain. Those of you who are in my class, please go and read my 20 or watch my 2021 paper 1 video. Explain this graph. This question is a super difficult question. Many concepts inside. And this is the application questions of graph. Okay, so go and watch it video. Okay, finally I'm done. Time now 4:46. Thank you for spending so much time, almost 2 hours with us. If you have any other questions, you text me and then I'll try to get back to you. Okay, so without nothing else, then I shall stop my lesson from here.
Thank you, Madam.